My name is Avery Callahan, and I'm 27 years old. Last Friday night, a bar's neon haze turned the chrome taps into a row of little moons. We were out with his friends. Loud, sloppy, familiar. One of those nights where the floor sticks to your shoes and everyone pretends it's charming. I left our high top to use the bathroom. The hallway smelled like citrus cleaner and someone's perfume. When I came back, my boyfriend, Owen Hale, was at the bar, shoulder angled toward a woman with a copper bob and a laugh like a chime in the wind. Not just talking. He was writing. On a napkin, he drew a tiny star at the end of his number, the same tiny star he used to put next to my name on grocery lists when he wanted to make me smile. I stepped close enough to read the digits, close enough to hear her say, "Text me when you're free. I'm usually up late." Owen didn't flinch when he saw me. He smiled with that harmless, boyish grin that once meant safety to me and now just meant practiced. "Hey, babe," he said, gesturing lazily with the pen. Sorry, what was your name again?" "Tessa," she said, suddenly cautious, like she'd walked into the second half of a movie and missed the setup. Tessa looked between us. "Is this your girlfriend?" Owen chuckled. "Yeah, this is Avery. She's dramatic. Don't mind her." I looked at the napkin in Tessa's hand. The star winked back at me. "What's going on?" I asked, even though my body already knew. There's a frequency at which the heart stops asking and the spine answers. "We were just talking about fitness stuff," he said. "She might try out my gym." The star was for fitness then. The star was for cardio. The star was for a lie with nice arms. "Stop being so dramatic," Owen added, rolling his eyes to make a punctuation mark out of me. "It's just flirting. It doesn't mean anything." Tessa said, soft, "I'm gonna go." She slid away with the napkin like it was a live wire. "Great," Owen muttered. "Now you scared her off." "You gave another woman your number," I said, steady, with a star. "It's harmless," he said. "Every guy does it. It's good for self-esteem or whatever." I felt something finally locate itself inside me, something heavy and exact. "You're right," I said. "I am being dramatic." His eyebrows lifted, relieved. "Finally." "No," I said. "You're absolutely right. I'm being very dramatic." He thought he'd won. He ordered another drink, returned to his friends like the night was intact, like I was a prop he could set back on the shelf. I sat for 5 minutes, letting the carbonation of rage settle into a plan. If he wanted dramatic, I would give him staging, lighting, a cue sheet. I would give him consequences with great sound design. I slid my phone from my bag. We'd been browsing apartments. A bigger place, higher floor, more light. The open house calendar was a bouquet of maybes. I opened our app and canceled every scheduled viewing. All of them. The bouquet withered in a tidy list of confirmations. Then I opened the account for our new fiber upgrade, in my name, of course. Scheduled a downgrade to the basic plan starting Monday. If harmless flirting needs buffering, so be it. I toggled through our streaming subscriptions, my subscriptions, his profile gone from each. The noise he'd curated dissolved with a press and a little bloop. I didn't feel powerful. I felt accurate. Our tickets, 2 gleaming seats to a band he loved because I had loved his face while he loved that band, were sitting prettily in my wallet app. A birthday surprise. I screenshotted. Listed them with a price to move. Loss accepted. Lesson priceless. His friend Morgan drifted over, cheeks pink from cheap whiskey. "Owen says you're pouting about some girl," she half sang, trying to fold herself into the shape of nonchalance. "Not at all," I said. "Just handling some life admin." "Please," she said. "He's just friendly." "I totally get it," I said. "Hey, are you still hunting for concert tickets?" "Always," she grinned. "Check resale in 10 minutes." She laughed, confused, and floated back into the noise. I texted Dylan Park, a friend who worked at a luxury dealership, the appointment Owen had begged me to keep so I could co-sign his new car. "Hey, Dylan, need to cancel Tuesday's appointment. I won't be co-signing after all." Dylan. "Understood. Honestly glad for you. Saved you a headache." 20 minutes later, a vibration. Sold 2 tickets. Money transferred. Clean as a snap. Owen came over, loose and handsy, breath warm with beer. "Babe, come dance. Don't be moody." "I'm in a great mood," I said. "Good," he said, kissing my temple, "because I love you, even when you're dramatic." "I love you too," I said, feeling the words peel off me like labels soaked in the sink. "By the way, about your birthday party at the apartment next month." "Yeah?" His grin widened. He liked when life arranged itself around him. "You might want to start looking for a new venue. He laughed, assuming I was joking. He assumed many things that night. We danced anyway because when the ship is sinking, sometimes the deck looks like a dance floor. Sometimes the violinists keep playing because there is no other work left for them to do. At 2 a.m., the city loosened its grip. We Ubered home. He fell asleep as if nothing in the world had ever demanded wakefulness of him. I stayed up with the kind of attention that has its own caffeine. I packed a small bag, essentials only, passwords rotated like tumblers in a lock. I opened my cloud drive. The thousands of photos I'd taken of him at golden hours and better angles moved to a private folder. He'd asked me to manage his drafts, his captions, his filter presets, because he liked when I curated what was lovable about him. I removed his access with a breath. At 4, I slept on the couch with my shoes lined at the door, like a soldier who knows the call will come. Saturday morning, he shuffled into the kitchen, hair pointing in 5 directions. Why is the Wi-Fi so slow? Must be an issue, I said, flipping eggs. I'll look into it. And why can't I find my streaming profile? Everything's logged out. Weird, I said. Technology, right? He squinted at his phone. Where are the concert tickets? Did you move them to your wallet? They're not in any wallet, I said, setting a plate in front of him. They're gone. What? Sold. He choked on a laugh that couldn't quite stand. You're joking. I poured coffee. The mug was from our first flea market morning. I'd almost loved him most that day. The mug didn't care. It held heat, and then it didn't. Because of last night? He asked. You told me I was being dramatic, I said. So I'm being dramatic. This is insane, Avery. It was harmless flirting. If it's harmless, I said softly, why are you upset? His jaw flexed. He picked up his phone. I could almost see the words he wanted to post. Controlling, overreacting, psycho. The internet as a courtroom where he'd be both witness and judge. Also, I added, I canceled the dealership appointment. I won't be co-signing. He stared. I need that car. You have a car, I said. A functional, paid-off car. I can't show up to client dinners in that thing. Then you'll have to show up as yourself. He slammed the mug down, coffee scalloping over the rim. You're punishing me. I slid a sheet across the table, a spreadsheet with dates and amounts, 2 columns, expense and payer. Rent differences when he was between jobs, utilities, dinners, trips, gifts, his gym membership, his supplements. A neat sum at the bottom that made my throat feel empty. Money I had poured into the idea that love could keep a promise all by itself. This isn't punishment, I said. It's a mirror. He looked at the number and then away, like the sun had crossed the room and landed in his eyes. Before noon, the downgraded internet wheezed. His stream froze mid-pose. He cursed, rebooted, cursed again. He wandered the apartment, picking at the edges of a world that no longer yielded to his touch. He kept glancing at me, like maybe I would blink first and say I'd overreacted, that I'd misunderstood, that I'd put the star on the napkin myself. I didn't blink. Instead, I opened my calendar and added a small private note on Wednesday. Move the rest. He didn't see it. He never looked at my calendar unless it overlapped with his desires. That afternoon, his phone lit up on the counter while he showered. I didn't pick it up. I didn't need to. The notifications previewed themselves. Cole. Miss you already. Brandon. Last night was wild. When again? Nate. Your girl's chill, right? LOL. I took a picture of the lock screen, not his messages, just the neon breadcrumbs he'd left in plain sight. I emailed the photo to myself with the subject line, harmless. When he emerged, towel around his neck, he asked, casual and hunting, so we're good? We're honest, I said. He frowned, as if he had been offered a vegetable when he'd ordered cake. You're still mad. I'm awake, I said. He laughed like men laugh in movies when they've already decided the audience is on their side. He couldn't hear it yet. The quiet click of a door he wouldn't be able to open. Stop being dramatic, he said again, almost tender. It doesn't mean anything. It does to me, I said, and the way my voice didn't shake was its own ceremony. That evening, as the sky burned down into orange grit and pigeons drew parentheses across the rooftops, my phone buzzed. Listing paid. The ticket money cleared. I transferred my portion of the vacation fund out, leaving what he'd contributed. The numbers settled like dust in sunlight. I set my bag by the door. I put my keys in my pocket. I wrote a single sentence on a yellow sticky note and tucked it under the salt shaker where he'd find it when he finally realized the taste had changed. You called it dramatic. I call it accurate. Then I waited for Wednesday. Monday arrived like a dull knife. No blood, just pressure. At 9:02 a.m., the premium fiber I'd scheduled to downgrade did exactly what I asked. It crawled. Owen's live stream, his Monday ritual of confidence tips and curated hustle, stuttered into a slideshow of open mouth, frozen smile, spinning wheel. He jabbed the router like it owed him rent. "What did you do to the internet?" he called from the living room. "We're on the basic plan now," I said, tying my hair back. "The premium was in my name. I downgraded it." "Avery," he said, blinking as if the right amount of blinking would fix the world. "I have content to post." "Then post it slower." He laughed without humor. "You're punishing me." "I'm being accurate." He tried the streaming accounts. Each greeted him with a sign-in wall and an error. No profile found. His favorites vanished. He looked personally betrayed by the concept of passwords. "Why can't I log into our Netflix, our Disney?" "My subscriptions," I said. "I removed your access." "That's petty." "Petty is charming," I said. "This is boundaries." He stood at the window, staring down at the street like something wide enough might open and swallow him back into an easier timeline. "You sold the tickets, yeah, he said again, as if saying it repeatedly would reassemble them from air. I poured coffee, set it down, then slid my spreadsheet closer to him. White paper, black ink, numbers that refused to soften. He didn't pick it up this time. He knew what it said. By noon, his solution was public. A captioned selfie, jaw set, eyes sad, angle practiced, hit his socials. Sometimes the people you love try to control you. Financial control is still control. The comments buzzed like an angry hive inside a glass box. I didn't answer him there. I didn't have to. I saved screenshots of everything, especially the parts where he typed fast and loose in replies, confirming the incident with language that sounded harmless, if you didn't know the shape of it. "Yeah, I gave someone my number at a bar. It was just flirting. Everyone flirts." It didn't mean anything. A few of his followers pushed back, gently at first. If my boyfriend did that in front of me, I'd feel disrespected. He dismissed them with charm that used to work on me. He didn't know how much of his charm depended on my willingness to clap. Then Morgan messaged me privately. "Are you okay?" He's spiraling. Also, I didn't love the bar thing, for what it's worth. "Thanks," I wrote back. "I'm fine." He told the story like it was a joke. It didn't feel like a joke. By late afternoon, his mother called. I didn't have her number saved, but a woman who has practiced quiet for long enough can hear the shape of certain voices before they speak. That tone that tries to be gentle and lands just shy of scolding. "Avery, this is Linda, Owen's mom." "Hi, Linda. I'm hearing things about you punishing Owen." "He's upset that I'm not subsidizing his choices anymore," I said. I kept my voice level, whole. Also, he gave another woman his number in front of me. He called it harmless. Silence, disbelieving, then thin as a winter branch. "He did what?" "In front of me," I said again, because it mattered that it happened in the light. Another small silence. "Well," she said carefully, "that isn't appropriate." "Correct. I'll talk to him," she said. "You can," I said, "but I'm done talking about it." After the call, he tried a softer tactic. Dishes clattering in the sink, a domestic symphony he'd rarely conducted. "I'm sorry," he said, approaching like I was a deer with good hearing. "It was stupid. It didn't mean anything." "You say that a lot," I said. "It didn't mean anything." "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing," I said. "I want you to stop acting like my hurt is a tantrum you can outlast." Night fell. He tried third tactics. Fingers gentle at the edge of my shirt, voice low with the muscle memory of intimacy. "Let me make it up to you," he whispered, the way people apologize with their bodies when they don't have the words. I stepped back. "I don't want makeup. I want respect." He dropped his hands, humiliated and angry, always such close cousins. "So what then? You going to hold this over my head forever?" "I'm going to hold it in my hands exactly as long as it needs to be seen," I said. Tuesday morning, I took the day off. He assumed I was sulking. He underestimated how much movement sulking requires. I packed the rest of my essentials while he was at work. Documents, the first aid kit of modern life. I took only what I had purchased, the TV, the soundbar, the coffee maker, the air fryer, the tower of books he never touched. I left his things precisely where they had always been, outlined by their own dust. On the kitchen table, I left receipts in a neat stack, serial numbers, order confirmations, my name printed cleanly beside every big purchase. That's the thing about paper trails. They don't perform, they testify. I also left something else, A single page with 2 columns, shared expenses and who paid, not because I wanted him to reimburse me, but because I wanted him to understand that dramatic is what people call women when the accounting finally doesn't lean their way. At 3 p.m., my phone vibrated while I was tightening the last strap on a box. New post from Owen Hale, a video, close up, tear bright. He said the word toxic twice, the phrase financial abuse once, and love not at all. The comments rushed in. Queen, leave him, from someone who hadn't read 2 lines up. Wait, you gave a woman your number? From someone who had. He tried to delete replies that complicated the narrative, but the internet loves nothing more than a hole. Screenshots sprouted like mushrooms after rain. I didn't plant them. I didn't have to. When you rely on attention for oxygen, you forget that it will also feed a fire. Around 4, Dylan texted, "Dealership just called to reconfirm you're out." I told them yes. "You okay?" "Good," I sent. "Thank you." At 5, Tessa, the woman from the bar, appeared in my DMs. "Hey, I didn't know he had a girlfriend until you walked up. I wouldn't have." "You don't owe me anything," I wrote back. "Thanks for saying it, though." For what it's worth, he said he was basically single. He says a lot of things. I typed, then erased, then sent anyway. By 6, Owen was home early. He stopped in the doorway. The room looked bigger, without what I'd paid to shrink it. "Where is everything?" His voice went high on the last word, like a yelp disguised as a question. I moved my things. "You robbed me." I gestured at the table. Receipts for everything I took, all purchased by me, before we lived together or with my personal funds. "I'm calling the cops." "Call them," I said, not unkindly. "I'll make coffee." His eyes landed on the sticky note I'd left under the salt shaker in case I lost my nerve to speak. "You called it dramatic. I call it accurate." He crumpled it with 2 fingers, like it would crackle loud enough to wake me up from my conviction. He stomped down the hallway, then came back, breathless with a new idea. "Fine," he said. "You want to be petty? I can be petty. I'll tell everyone what you did." "You already did," I said. "How's that going?" He stared at me and saw, finally, that I was no longer an audience. We hung there in a silence so dense that even the fridge was careful with its hum. He swallowed. "You can't just leave me with this rent." "We're month to month," I said. "Remember? You wanted flexibility. Good news. You have it." Color drained from his face. He had wanted flexibility, like a trapeze artist wants a net they never intend to test. "Where are you going?" he asked, softer. "Somewhere smaller," I said. "Somewhere mine." "Avery. Think about this." He gestured around, collecting air like coins. 2 years. "And a star on a napkin," I said. "And a pattern that didn't start Friday night." He flinched. "Pattern?" I pulled up my email and showed him the photo I'd sent myself. The lock screen I'd captured that first night, the previews he'd left in the open. Not the group chat banter he'd hide behind, but the DMs from Maisie, Brooke, Jenna, late-night little flames with captions that always sound like coincidence when read out loud. "Miss you already. Last night was fun. Your girlfriend seemed chill. Ha ha." He tried to grab the phone. I stepped back. "I didn't go through your messages," I said. "I didn't need to. The future kept lighting up your screen." "You're twisting this," he said. "I'm straightening it." He paced, then landed a new angle, a final one. "Okay, fine. You want to go? Go. But this is overkill." "Maybe," I said. "But sometimes overkill is what it takes to stop being undercut." He stared at the door. I could see him measuring it with his eyes. How far it would open, how loudly it would close, how empty a room can feel when a woman takes only what is hers. "Wednesday," I said, picking up my keys. "I'll be out fully by Wednesday." "That's in 2 days." "That's in 2 days," I repeated. He laughed, one syllable with rust on it. "You'll come back." "I already left," I said. "The rest is choreography." That night, he curled on the couch, scrolling and posting and deleting. I lay awake, counting the ordinary noises I wouldn't miss, the way he drummed on the counter when he was bored, the performative sigh before doing something small, the metallic scrape of a fork in a pan even after I asked him not to, the word dramatic like a bell he rang to summon my compliance. Tuesday bled into Wednesday. Dawn reached into the apartment like a soft apology. At 8 a.m., I shouldered my bag, lifted the last box, and looked around one final time. The walls had already begun the gentle work of forgetting us. Owen followed me to the door, eyes glassy with either love or panic. I wasn't going to parse which anymore. "Don't do this," he said. "I did it," I said. "And what am I supposed to do?" he asked. "You're supposed to be exactly who you are," I said, and then I left. By Wednesday afternoon, I had signed the lease on a smaller place. 1 bedroom, creaky floorboards, sunlight that didn't feel like it owed anyone an apology. The silence there wasn't heavy, it was earned. Owen, meanwhile, was unraveling publicly. His story had already reached mutual friends, reshaped by his favorite distortion. He was the victim, and I was the financially controlling girlfriend who'd lost it over nothing. He didn't know how well I documented everything. He didn't realize receipts talk louder than charm. By Thursday morning, Morgan texted, "He's posting again. You should see this." I opened the clip. Owen, eyes red, voice breaking perfectly on cue. "She left me with nothing. Took the TV, the coffee maker. She even took the air fryer. Who does that?" The comment section was a war zone. "Dude, she probably bought those things." "Wait, you gave your number to another girl in front of her?" "Sounds like consequences, not control." Someone else had already posted side-by-side screenshots, his post versus my spreadsheet. My note. "You called it dramatic. I call it accurate." It had been reposted dozens of times with captions like, "When the math mathed." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. He was arguing with his own echo chamber now. That afternoon, I met with my landlord to finalize paperwork. "Your references checked out," he said. "And you seem organized." I smiled faintly. Organized was the polite word for documented. I spent the evening unpacking in peace until my phone lit up again, this time from an unknown number. "Hi, Avery. This is Caleb, your old landlord. Owens reached out claiming you broke the lease." "We were month to month," I said. "I gave notice in writing." He sighed. "That's what I thought. He doesn't qualify for the apartment solo. I'll have to ask him to vacate by end of the month. That's between you and him," I said. But later that night, Owen texted, "You're making me homeless. Over nothing." I stared at the message for a long time, then replied, "Over honesty." He didn't answer. By Friday, the ripple effects had begun. Mutual friends started quietly unfollowing him. Some reached out to me in private, their messages full of relief disguised as gossip. Ashley, one of his closest friends, wrote, "He's done this before, Avery. Always flirts, always blames the other person for not being secure enough. We just never thought anyone would actually leave." "You thought wrong," I replied. Even Tessa, the woman from the bar, posted a cryptic story. "Some people think charisma cancels accountability. It doesn't." The subtext wasn't subtle, and the comments knew it. Meanwhile, Owen's own harmless flirting circle started collapsing. The women he'd breadcrumbed suddenly realized they were all eating from the same loaf. Screenshots leaked. Messages where he recycled compliments like coupons. "You have the most magnetic energy. I can't explain why, but I trust you. You get me like she never did." Except each "you" was a different woman. Each timestamp overlapped. It wasn't shocking. It was arithmetic. By Sunday, he started damage control, DMing people privately, begging them not to take sides. One of them forwarded his message to me with a note. "He's trying to make it sound mutual. Just thought you should know." I didn't respond. Silence was my final punctuation mark. A week later, the story took on a life of its own. Someone on Reddit compiled screenshots and receipts into a post titled, "My ex called me dramatic," so I showed him what drama looks like. I hadn't written it, but the internet credited me anyway. Half the comments were memes. Half were women saying, "God, I wish I'd done this." One said, "This is financial clarity disguised as revenge. She didn't ruin his life. She stopped financing it." I read that one twice. The same night, I ran into Dylan at a coffee shop. He waved me over. "You hear from Owen lately?" "Not directly. Dealership says he tried to reopen that car application under just his name. Didn't qualify." I raised an eyebrow. "Not surprised." Dylan grinned. "He told them you were overreacting. Then he tried to use your old credit reference. They flagged it immediately." I couldn't help it. I laughed. The kind that breaks something loose in your chest. "Guess the star on the napkin doesn't improve credit scores." "Guess not," Dylan said, smiling. "You good, though?" "Better than good," I said. "I can breathe." But Owen wasn't done yet. On Monday morning, my phone buzzed again. His dad, Mark Hale, calling. "Hi, Avery. Look, Owen's going through a tough time. Says you cut him off from everything." "I didn't cut him off. I stopped paying for his things." "Well, he's asking me to cover his rent. Thought I'd get your side before I decide." "Mark," I said gently. "He gave another woman his number at a bar. That was just the surface. You've probably been covering for him longer than I have." Silence stretched thin over the line. Then, a quiet exhale. "You're not wrong. Maybe this is what he needs." "It's exactly what he needs," I said. When we hung up, I realized I wasn't angry anymore, just done. By the second week, the landlord called to confirm Owen moved out, couldn't meet income requirements. And with that, the chapter ended exactly how it began, him walking away from a space someone else had paid for. Mutual friends whispered he'd moved back in with his parents 2 hours away, the same parents he once described as controlling. The irony wrote itself. His social media had gone quiet except for a single defiant story. "You can't cancel real love." Someone replied, "You sure canceled your Wi-Fi, though." The comments disappeared within minutes. Meanwhile, in my new apartment, I was learning the texture of solitude again. I bought myself a cheap plant, named it Bandwidth. It thrived on little attention, steady light. I cooked dinner for one, ate it without anyone calling me dramatic for seasoning my food with too much emotion. I stopped checking his profiles. I stopped needing to. Because the real closure wasn't his downfall. It was the quiet proof that I could walk away from noise and still have a full life waiting on the other side. The kind of peace you can't screenshot. 3 weeks after I left, the last remnants of Owen's digital storm had calmed. His posts dwindled into motivational quotes no one liked anymore. Sometimes losing everything teaches you who you are. I didn't comment, I just let the algorithm bury him. What replaced him wasn't revenge, wasn't gloating, just stillness. The kind that hums when you've finally unplugged from chaos. I spent those first quiet mornings learning small rituals, opening the curtains before my coffee, instead of during someone else's excuses, putting music on low while I showered, instead of worrying if it was too loud for his mood. Peace, it turns out, has an oddly specific volume, somewhere between a heartbeat and forgiveness. I got an email from Caleb, my old landlord. Everything settled, Owen's deposit forfeited, unpaid balance. He asked me to tell you you won. I told him no one wins when rent's due. I smiled. There was no satisfaction in it, just symmetry. A few days later, Ashley sent me a voice note. "He's trying to date again, telling everyone you were controlling, but people remember. They saw the receipts." "I don't care," I said honestly. And I didn't. It felt strange how light indifference could be after years of defending myself inside his narrative. That weekend, I went climbing, something I hadn't done since before Owen. He'd always said it was too risky. But standing at the base of that wall, chalk on my hands, I realized risk wasn't falling. It was staying small to make someone else comfortable. That's where I met Eli Park. He offered to spot me. I declined politely. But halfway up, he laughed when I slipped and said, "You good?" "I'm dramatic," I said. "Best kind," he replied. "Means you care about the outcome." Later, over water bottles and calloused palms, he asked about the name Bandwidth etched on my wristband. "It's my plant," I said. "It thrives on consistency." He smiled like he understood exactly what that meant. One afternoon, I stopped by a cafe near the old neighborhood. The barista, glancing at my order, said, "You look familiar. Were you with that guy who—" "Probably," I said. "But I'm not anymore." She grinned. "Good for you." Good for me. Simple, but it landed. A week later, Morgan texted me one last update. Ran into Owen downtown. He's working part-time at an electronics store. Said he's saving up for a new start. Also, he told someone you were the one that got away. I didn't reply for a while, then typed. I didn't get away. I walked away. And that was that. When I finally unpacked the last box, I found the old sticky note, the one that had sat beneath our salt shaker. You called it dramatic. I call it accurate. I framed it and hung it by the door. Not as a trophy, but as a boundary marker, a reminder that standing up for yourself will always look dramatic to the person benefiting from your silence. Then, one Friday, my phone buzzed with a message from Eli. "Hey, a guy at the climbing gym asked for my number today. I told him I have someone. Just thought you should know." It made me laugh, genuinely, freely. "Thanks for telling me," I wrote back. "Appreciate the honesty." "Always," he said. "I'm not into harmless flirting. I'm into real things." I smiled. Maybe this time the word dramatic would mean something else. The drama of growth, of honesty, of love that doesn't need an audience to be real. Looking back, Owen was right about one thing. I was being dramatic. Dramatically smart for leaving. Dramatically done financing excuses. Dramatically better without him. He wanted a spectacle. I gave him closure with lighting cues. And when he finally called me dramatic for the last time, I didn't correct him, because for the first time, it wasn't an insult. It was the truth.